These 3 secrets I share with you in this video, by the time you understand it and you start to absorb it, it will completely transform your life. Some of them are things that enlightened people have touched on. These are different concepts that some of them may hold back from sharing because maybe the truth is a little bit hard for some people. However, it actually makes letting go so much easier. It makes elevating our vibration and how we feel so much easier. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 scariest secrets of reality and how that will absolutely transform our life once we learn them. Now, the first one is something that you can notice in just about everywhere in your life, but if you start looking at it from this point going forward, and that is this one simple idea that everything in our lives has 0 built-in meaning other than the meaning we give it. So everything in life is neutral. The idea of a rainy day, it's funny because sometimes I'll do like these workshops and I'll ask people, what does a rainy day mean to you? And I'll see all these comments that come in. Some people say, it's great, it sucks, neutral, I don't care, it means this, it means that. And it's like all these many different built-in meanings. And based on those meanings, people then experience the result of that. Well, as scary and weird as this sounds, even crazy, even traumatic things, many of us can get together and agree that even in the world right now, there's some crazy stuff happening that doesn't seem fair, that seems not only not fair, but just like horrible, destructive. But in a grander scheme of things, the scary truth about reality is that we don't understand how certain things are going to affect the rest of collective consciousness. Because even if we look at what's happened in the world, we can see that maybe that's waking a lot of people up and making us aware that we don't prefer to live in a world where we're going through war like that, or going through things like that. It's, I remember I went to a life transformation type event back before I even was on YouTube and stuff. And basically what they would do is they would get this Venn diagram. And there'd be this thing where you'd become aware of the biggest memories and biggest trauma experiences you've had. And you'll notice that there's 2 categories. One is what happened. The other was the story about what happened. And what you'll notice is that a lot of times what happened is always a neutral thing. What happened? Your parents divorced. What happened? Even you may have got like hit by a parent or something I went through, you know. Even though it sounds like we could all agree, we could all get together and say this is horrible, that should not happen. At the same time, we don't understand. I'm not saying it's good or bad. Let me just say that right now. I'm not saying I think that certain things are good, but I know the trauma that I went through when I was a kid, that led to my spiritual awakening. That led to a lot of positive things happening. That led to a lot of learning and growth. But at the same time, what happened is a neutral thing. Now, the story about what happened is where we get all messed up. Because the story about what happened ends up being things like, it means I'm not worthy. My parents divorced because I wasn't enough. Maybe if I was a little bit different, they would have stayed together. Or I was beaten or whatever because I just wasn't worthy of love. Or the thing is, we make all of these meanings when we're kids. We give everything meaning that then ends up being on autopilot. And the reason letting go is hard is because we are so attached to meaning. So one of the main parts that I think will completely transform your life if you begin to apply it is realizing when you think it's hard to let go, what you're really afraid to let go of is meaning. You're afraid to let go of an ex. You're afraid to let go of a past friendship. You're afraid to let go of a job. Whatever it is. What you're really afraid to let go of is your identification with that attachment. You've internalized that attachment. You've tied your sense of happiness to it, and that's why it's hard to let go. But realize this, because meaning, it's almost like energy cannot be created nor destroyed. Well, meaning, you can reframe things. You can reframe things. If you lost your job, maybe it's putting you in alignment to actually be in a job that you love. If you're out of a relationship that didn't serve, maybe that means that now there's a relationship or there's opportunities for you to make space for that's going to be even more epic than you can imagine. But the truth about reality is that nothing has any built-in meaning, and if letting go seems to be hard, is only because there's an attachment to the old meaning. And we're afraid sometimes. I've created meaning here, so there's no way I can ever create, meaning again, which is ridiculous, of course. That's why people that have trouble letting things go, people go, whatever, they're really afraid of letting go of the familiar. Even control freaks. I have this control aspect where I like to control things in my reality. I was controlled by my ex-stepmom growing up. So then after she left my life when I was 15, I then create this sense of control for myself, whether that's my business, my diet, things like that. But one of the things we can become aware of that will just completely transform our lives is that letting go is easy. It's just a choice. It's a choice to be in the unknown, the unfamiliar, the uncertainty. And it's a choice of letting go of meaning, because nothing has any built-in meaning other than the meaning you give it. And at any moment, you can reframe stuff. But that's one of the secrets of the universe that you begin to apply will completely transform your life. Letting go is easy. It is a choice. That's it. And in my life, I'm letting go of many aspects of myself, many things that have to do with, letting go of even the comfort that I used to got from certain ways of running my business, of making videos and stuff. Now I'm doing live events, which is more of the unknown. And like going into this live event, there's a lot of uncertainty, even though I know I'm going to be passionate about it and it's going to be what I love doing. And right here, I'm at a retreat with like 40 people. It's like epic. It's what I love doing. However, there's always this newness, and there's like this attachment to the old. I can just make videos on YouTube and not have to talk to anybody, and I'll be safe. But it's like I know that there's a deeper part of me that wants to step into this unknown, to step into this magic. And there's a quote by Anthony Demelo that says, "We don't really fear the unknown. What we fear is the loss of the known." We're afraid of letting go and losing what we know. But it's not losing what we know, it's expanding into a new level. Now the second thing is something that I've read actually I don't know if it was a book, I think it was Mark Manson's blog. So I'll share with you a couple of these paradoxes that will completely transform your life. And this has been a game changer for me. This is also connected to something that Alan Watts talks about. It's called the backwards law. And the backwards law is like this paradox. There's some paradoxes that I'm going to share with you right now. And it'll help you look at how the reality works in a different way. Now there's something called, in our reality, this law. It's like a balance. It's a balancing thing energetically. And the universe, in a way, sends these balancing forces. There's this energetic balance that happens, that things get balanced out when there's too much of something. Now let me give you some examples. The more you try to control anything, the more out of control you will feel. Because then you have more rules as to how everything needs to happen. And the more out of control you then feel. But the more you can accept things, and the more you can become okay with the unknown, the more in control you will feel. Is that interesting? The more you try to create freedom in your life, is the more unfree you will feel, because you're going to be doing all these different things. But the more you wire in and you do just one or two things, and the more you limit the things you're doing, the more freedom you will create. Interesting. That's what I did on YouTube. I started making daily videos on YouTube in 2017 and my life transformed. And I had all this freedom, but I still felt kind of trapped in doing videos every single day. That's all I was doing. But I created a lot of freedom. Security. The more you try to find and grasp security, the more insecure you're going to feel. But the more you accept your own insecurities and your own flaws, the more secure you will feel. Interesting, right? This is called the backwards law. The backwards law states that the more you try to do anything, the more you resist. The more you try to grow, the more you are saying that where I'm at is not good right now. And what ends up happening is, because of that, it's like you end up feeling not enough, and you're creating from a space of like not feeling good enough. So it's like you feel trapped. You see, so the backwards law just basically states that the more you want, the more you desire, the more you put someone on a pedestal, the more you want things to go well, the more you want other people's validation and approval, the less you will actually get it in reality. But the more you give it, the more you get it. It is the craziest thing. And you know why? I think it's because we're all connected in our reality. We're all one consciousness. So what you put out and what you give to someone else then comes back to you. I used to sell women's shoes, as you guys know if you watch my videos, in Nordstrom's. And it was really interesting. I worked with somebody, and she would always do this thing when she was helping customers, which she would just compliment them. They'd come into the department, and she would just compliment them. And sometimes maybe it was fake, sometimes maybe it was real. But she'd say, "Oh, I love your bag," or "I love your hair," or "I love this, I love that." And the funny thing is, one, it would warm people up, and people would she'd then help them with shoes and stuff like that, and it worked for her. But on the other side of that, she would then receive comments, and not just from the people she gave compliments to, she'd get compliments from even other people. So one day I tried this. I went to work and I just started giving compliments out to people. Even like just random stuff. And I try to be genuine with it, you know, but I'd be like, oh, I like this thing you're wearing, or like, I love you're so funny, or I just, not that I needed their validation for it, but it was just like an experiment. You want to know something interesting? I'd go give someone a compliment. I'd then go to like the E-bar where I'd get like coffee. I would then get complimented by someone else. It's like there's an energy field that's being put off where I'm putting out this abundance, and then it just kept coming back to me. I'd get so many compliments, or so many like things would reflect back differently because of that. And I share that because the way our reality works is the more we give, the more we get. The more we want, the more we lack. The more we desire anything, the more we say that right here, right now is not good enough. And yes, I just said right now. So that's the crazy thing about our reality. There's these balancing forces that come into play. So don't want things. Focus on the qualities, the being of it, and watch how your life begins to change. If there's something you want, if you want something from someone else, they're going to feel that, and they're going to be resistant to give it back. But the moment you start giving it, completely different. The more we, even another one, the more we try to be confident, the more anxiety we feel, the more insecure we feel. But the more we accept our flaws, the more comfortable we feel, and the more confident we are. I think sometimes we have like people pleasing and certain mentalities, that the shame that we try to hide it. So we try to be overly confident in an egoic way. And then it's like we're trying to hide that. But instead, if you just embrace shame, vulnerability, whatever, you will be more magnetic than ever before. Now, the third scariest secret of the universe, and this is something that I'm becoming more and more aware of as time goes on. And it's so simple, but it is so powerful when you begin to live this. Don't just hear this idea, but live it. It's realizing we are here for such a short period of time. We are all going to die. Before we know it, our lives are going to be over. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. It's like, no, it's being negative. No, like literally, like I'm at this retreat right now, and I've done these like 6 times now, these plant medicine retreats. And they fly by. Like this next 3 days, today's the first night ceremony, it's going to fly by. Like today, tomorrow, and the day after is going to be one long day. It's going to be over. And I sat down with everyone yesterday, we were talking, I was like, guys, before you know it, you're going to be on your flights going back, so let's enjoy the moment. And in the same way, I think about that in life. I watched a movie the other day, it was called like Adam Project or something with Ryan Reynolds. It was really good, actually. And it basically was talking about, it's like some guy goes in the future and he comes back in his timeline and sees his younger self, and he's really judgmental towards his younger self, but he has to connect to his dad, and there's all this unhealed trauma from his dad. But it was a very, there's moments of it when I was tearing up, because like there's this, we think everything's going to always be there. We think our family members are going to always be there. We think we're always going to have this stuff, but this is like, the truth is, if we live every day as if like it's our last, then we're really present to the moment. Enjoy the journey. I can't tell you how many times I'm like wanting to get to a certain goal, to make a certain amount of money, to move into a certain type of house, and then I get it. And it's like, I want the next thing. It's never good enough. And what I'm learning is to really enjoy the process, realize the uncertainty is the beauty. Being here now is the beauty. With my Shift Experience Live event, it's like, oh, I'm figuring out the angle. I'm figuring out, like, what am I going to do after that? And it's like, just enjoy the uncertainty. Enjoy not knowing, because this is the moment. This is the time that is actually the juice. And you'll look back one day and you'll feel nostalgic to the moment you're living right now. It's a crazy thing for me. I have these times where I like remember listening to a song and it brings me back to a past moment. I'm like, man, that was like, just like this nostalgic feeling of like almost missing it. But I know that one day this will also be nostalgic for me. One day I might not do retreats here, and I'll be like, oh, remember this, the cottage, all these mango trees around, how magical it was. But this is like something I think that the more we become aware of all of this type of thing, the more it's really going to transform our lives. So realize that letting go is easy. Letting go is something you do naturally when you realize that everything is just built, it's just meaning. And you can let go of old meaning by making the choice. Realize there's this paradox about life. There's these, in a way, these balancing forces that come in to balance out our reality. So the more you want, the more you lack. The more you try to control, the more out of control you feel. The more you want freedom, the more you will feel unfree unless you shift into this other side of it. But realize that like life is meant to be beautiful. You're meant to enjoy life. And all you have to do is start being present to the moment and realize that it can always get better. Now, one of the most powerful things that I have is a PDF that shows you step by step how to raise your vibration. It's a 3-step process. It's a free PDF you can download below or go to aarondowdy.com/PDF. Download that, and then you'll see and go through a process of transformation for a lot of these scary truths about enlightenment that I think will elevate your consciousness to a completely new level. And then also, there's a video right here. If you want to know the one scariest secret of the universe, this video right here will show you what that is, and is something I think will completely transform your life. Now, in this video, I'm going to share with you the power of something that is both scary and powerful at the same time. And it's a concept that they say, I remember hearing like Osho or some of it was, you know,